This is episode 103 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. Welcome to episode 103 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. I am here in sunny Florida. I managed to get out before they locked down the border, and I'm going to be spending some time down here prior to coming back when I think the time is right. But in the meantime, I've got plenty of episodes stored up, and I'm going to be recording several Zoom sessions once I run out of those. So lots of content to come. Today's episode is actually really awesome. I had Spencer and Ashley on the show. They are Airbnb investors and managers. So they have their own properties in which they earn somewhere in the ballpark of about $3,500 a month on average for cash flow. And then they also manage other investors' properties for a small fee. So they've found a way to turn their portfolio investing into a tangible business as well. They both work full-time jobs at the moment, but they're both looking forward to leaving those jobs and managing Airbnb full-time as well as their portfolio. Spencer and Ashley are also investing in multifamily 6 units and up, and that's where they're taking a lot of the cash flow that they get from their Airbnbs and redeploying it. So it was a super interesting episode. I got a chance to ask them all the questions that I had on my mind about rental hacks for Airbnbs. How do you optimize them? How do you make them earn more? And they were both just a wealth of knowledge, and I know you're really going to enjoy this episode. As always, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, hit the notification bell so that we can stay in touch and you'll get notified as soon as a new episode drops. And if you haven't already, make sure that you leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people to find the show, and I would greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, please enjoy episode number 103 with Spencer and Ashley. Here we go. Hello and welcome to the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. I have Spencer and Ashley here to talk to us about Airbnb. Spencer and Ashley, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so Colton had you on his channel, I guess, and he mentioned to me that I should have you on. I haven't seen your video there, but I know you guys like to travel and you're good with Airbnb. So why don't you just break it down for me right now, what it is that you do, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, so my very first property that I invested in was 3 years ago, and it was actually an Airbnb. I had a friend who was my partner on that first one. He went through the whole student rental thing and obviously did well with it at the time where the market sat and the price of properties back then. But as we saw a big increase here in the Niagara region where we're from, the numbers became quite tight. And we had a few other friends that kind of mentioned to us, hey, why don't you do Airbnb? Like they showed us their numbers they were making. It was exponentially more than the student rental income that they were getting, and they were going through all the benefits of how, you know, they're barely there. They drop their bags off, they leave. They're actually rated on how they leave your place, and so therefore it's maintained much better than, you know, potential long-term tenants. So it went through all the benefits, and we decided to do that. So we paired that with the BRRRR strategy. I guess, you know, it's a very common thing now. So we bought a fixer that needed quite a bit of work and at a very good price, that when we put, you know, a decent chunk of money into it, we received quite a bit big of a return back, where we were able to continue to roll that into other properties. So we had success with the first one. It was doing very well. It was cash flowing very well. And then when we refinanced it, we just kept rolling it into other properties, actually in the same area, just because that area was doing very well at the time. And yeah, that's kind of how we got started in the Airbnb side of it.
Is that all in Niagara region?
Yes.
Okay, like Niagara on the Lake, or?
Sorry, St. Catharines, St. Catharines, North.
St. Catharines, okay. Are you getting a lot of the people visiting wine vineyards coming and staying at your place? Is that your prime clientele? Oh.
Yeah. We get a lot of families too that want to visit the falls, but the area that we purchased in is near a beach. You can actually walk to the beach in like 30 seconds from all of our properties in that area. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely very attractive on that end. And it's within 8 to 10 minutes from all the major wineries in Niagara on the Lake. So it's in a very good pocket for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that region. Well, when things are open, I love that region.
Yeah, seriously.
Same with us.
Yeah. So on that note, how are things with the lockdown affecting you? I mean, a lot of people in Airbnb kind of pivoted. Did you?
No, not at all. We were actually almost busier this year than last year, mostly because the beach was there and people just wanted to get out of their little apartments in Toronto and they wanted a home, and we have big backyards. They wanted to be able to get out and move around. We still have, right, like Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, all of that stuff. A lot of places were doing takeout. In the summer, high summer, people were doing patios and all that. There's still stuff to do in the area. So we were busy.
Okay. And did you ever end up investing in student rentals before this, or this was your first type of investment?
So we say no. However, I bought my first house, the house that we live in now. It'll be 10 years this year. And I didn't know what house hacking was at the time. I just knew I was 23 and I didn't want to live at home. And so I bought a property, and I had 3 students living upstairs, and I lived in the basement for probably about three years. But that's about it.
That's the house you're in right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you had a little bit of a house hack going there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many properties are you at now for JVs, or are you doing JVs or independently owned?
So yeah, we had a few that are independently owned. A lot of them are JVs. So we have 3 residential properties. We had 4, just sold that one.
Okay.
And we purchased a 6-unit apartment building last summer. And from the one house that I sold, the first house that I invested in with my partner, we ended up putting a little bit of extra money and buying another 6-unit apartment building as well. So we have 2 6-unit apartment buildings and 3 residential properties.
So far.
Okay. So you're at 15 units, all Airbnb?
No.
So those actually, the apartment buildings are straight rentals. One of the 6 units we're actually converting into 8. So it'll be 17 coming soon. We just got the
nice.
Plans for the basement apartments. We're able to put 2 bedrooms down there. But all the other ones, like the residential ones, are Airbnbs.
Yeah, but we do also have a property management company that we run with 2 other business partners. So we operate more Airbnbs.
Yeah, we have 10 other Airbnbs that we actually run for a lot of investors and our clients.
Really? Okay. What led you to want to do that?
So similar, I guess when we started with the Airbnb, we realized that it is a very good market. Mm-hmm. And I had taken a bunch of courses on Airbnb and the algorithm and how to really make your listing stand out. And I just got the idea that there's a ton of people that are coming down looking to do this. So I started off by putting an ad out on Kijiji. That's how it really started. Basically, property management, I was going to charge X percentage and just run it, right? So someone from the GTA didn't want to run toilet paper down on a Friday night. They didn't have to, right? Because you'll notice with Airbnb that the income potential is much higher, but there is a lot more work involved, right? You're not just finding a tenant and collecting rent every month. You're messaging and vetting guests, every single day. And when you have multiple properties, there's a lot of things that can come up last minute. So I just felt there was a big opportunity or a lot of problems that could be solved with putting this type of service out there. So with the market and that, it just ended up working out and started snowballing from there.
So is that a re-rental strategy, or is that are you just giving them a fixed monthly rate and then you're renting it out for whatever you can?
Yeah, so it's not quite rental arbitrage. That's actually what I started to try to do. I was actually down in Toronto trying to do it there. But that's a different story. And then I just realized, hey, instead of us putting out capital on our end, why don't we just charge a fixed percentage? It's up to them on their bills, they're covering costs. So there's really no risk to us financially whatsoever. And we just charge a set percentage. It just made it so much easier that way.
That's interesting. That's sort of what I did with construction. So I was doing my own renovations, my own additions, and then I got asked to build for other people. I'm like, well, actually, that's no risk to me, and I just charge a fixed fee. So it's kind of a nice way to create some active income and pair it with your portfolio income as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, very cool. What would, just out of curiosity, I mean, I'm sure we have people who are in the area that wouldn't mind enlisting your services. What would they be looking at to have you guys do that for them?
Yeah, I mean, it varies depending on how much we're doing for them. Our full package, completely hands off, is 25% of gross rents. And then obviously, if there's other things that they want to handle, the cleaning, things like that themselves, then we can negotiate. But complete hands off are usually 25%.
I feel like for your sanity, you'd probably more prefer to just do it all your system versus have other people, because then it'll affect you and your ratings. If you let somebody else clean it and they don't do a good enough job, isn't that a problem? Yeah,
absolutely. You just nailed it on the head. So we actually, we've turned down clients before just because if the property's not up to our standards, it now affects our investments, right? And it's not just per profile, unfortunately, with Airbnb. If you have a really bad property that is performing horribly and you get 1-star, 2-star ratings, it's going to bring your overall rating down.
Yeah, because you're a super host, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
When you don't want to lose that, what do you have to do to be a super host?
So there's a couple different criteria. You obviously have to have, I think it's up to 10 stays a year. You need to have over a 4.8 star rating. So essentially like 5 stars. Your response time has to be 99% or something like that. And no cancellations. You cannot have any cancellations. The second
you can't cancel a guest.
Second you cancel a reservation, you lose it for a year. So those are the basic criteria for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you listened to the Sammy Khan episode on my podcast, but
no.
Yeah, he was saying, I've spoken with him, and he's actually mentioned to me that he figured a way out to get around that. He didn't get into details, but he said he figured a way around that. So
there's a lot of tricks that you can actually do with the platform. Nothing that's advertised online, but there's definitely ways around it for sure.
Okay. What did you guys do for work before you were doing this? First off, are you full-time investors, managers of Airbnb and your portfolio?
Very soon. We're right on that tipping point. Yeah. So we still have our full-time jobs. So I work for Canada, like the big food company.
Okay.
So I manage the Go business, all the stores. I work with their buyers, their directors there.
And then I work as an HR business partner for Walker Industries, which is a local company here. But we are hoping 2021's the big year for us.
The big year to make the switch. So I mean, I'm assuming based on the kind of income you can make on Airbnbs, you guys are able to save a lot of money right now between your properties.
Yep.
Okay. And plus, like St. Catharines area traditionally hasn't been that expensive to buy.
No.
Traditionally.
Yeah. This year's a different story.
The house you live in, what'd you buy it for?
Oh, 210, almost 10 years ago, right?
Have you refinanced it?
And I bought it move-in ready. I don't think we did much to it.
Have you refinanced it since?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, get some money for down payments? Okay.
Oh, yeah. You got it.
Let's walk through some numbers on Airbnb, and I'm going to get you to tell me some Airbnb secrets if you got them. But let's go through kind of an average month. So actually, let's kind of look at the different seasons. So in the summer, I'm assuming is different than in the winter, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
much different.
Let's go through month by month. So Jan, Feb, March. Okay, let's work through those months. So January, is that a good month, bad month?
New Year's Eve's great.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it's is really slow.
Okay.
You can still cover though. So we've been getting a lot. So our trick number one is we've been getting a lot of essential workers or people who are down working either at the canal or in the hospitals, that kind of stuff. And they need to spend like 2 to 4 weeks in one spot, and that will at least cover.
Okay, so you'll get some temporary workers. That makes sense. Okay, so your average January. Can you give me an example from one of your properties?
Yeah, sure. So like we've got 3 to 5 bedrooms, for example. You can make anywhere from on the very low end $2,000, the high end $4,000 to $4,500.
$4,500. Okay, so we'll just say medium case $3,000. Is that
yeah?
Is that fair?
3 is good.
Okay. Yeah. February similar numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and then March, is it getting a little bit better or still the same?
Well, traditionally with March break, yes, but obviously with last year, not so much. So last year was about the same as $3,000.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a few properties that did better because of the essential workers, but
okay. What about April?
April was around like 35, I would say.
Okay, so 3,500, picking up a bit. And this would be like that property that's walking distance to the water?
Yeah, actually have those numbers if you want the exact. Like I didn't break it out month by month, but I have the total.
Well, we'll go through your approximate, and then I'll take your total, and we'll use that.
Sure.
So
it might be way off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, just to get an idea of kind of like when you think about it, how you think the different months stack up, and I think that's valuable. So, May, what do you typically expect there?
More
5 to 6, I would say.
Yeah,
that's
so
when
that's
it starts to heat up.
Okay, so people want to take advantage of the water, kind of enjoy a little bit of the spring
May 2-4
weather.
for sure.
Yeah,
both Canadian and American typically weekends. Big money there.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Yeah, so people come up on the Memorial Day weekend as well?
Yeah,
okay,
not this year, but usually.
Yeah.
Historically, they do.
Historically. Okay, so June getting better?
Oh, yeah.
10 to 15.
10 to 15,000, really? Okay. So
wait for the next 2 months.
Okay, so July, what are we looking at?
15 to 25.
Okay, so
I'd
we'll
say
call it 20.
closer to 20, closer to 20.
20,
It was,
yeah.
we had one property that did extremely well July, August.
All right, so August.
25.
Oh yeah.
Wow, these are nice numbers. I like the sounds. Okay, September.
Probably back down to 18, 19.
And October.
That one was like 7 or 8.
I'll say 8.
I'm trying to compare 2 different properties and take the half. One's a bit
Okay,
bigger
so
than the other.
November.
That's 35 4. It slows right down.
Okay, so we'll call it 3,500, and then December.
So
I'd still
are
bring
you
that back up.
counting New Year's Eve? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Kinda-
that's in
If
December.
you're counting New
That's
Year's Eve, then like 4 to 45.
Okay, I'll call it 4,000. Okay, so when I total up everything you just said to me, so I'm getting about 108,000 in the year. And what did you have?
That's actually it's a little high. It's pretty close. So our smaller property did 75,000, and then our larger one, we actually just renovated. So it was only open for 6 months, and that did 68,000 in 6 months. So that one would be probably on pace to the 105, 108 next
Okay,
year.
so we'll call that one the 105 then. So
Yeah.
105. So then you're averaging, if that one was 105, and we're gonna go through the numbers on that one. So that works out to be about 87.50 a month if you're 105,000 on the year. Let's walk through that property. First, I guess we could do the income or we can do the investment first. What do you want to do? You want to go through the income and expenses first?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah. All right. So first off, what is that house? Is it a bungalow? Is it, 3-4 bedroom? How many baths? Tell me about it.
So yeah, it's a 5-bedroom. It has no basement, just a second floor.
Big though.
It is like a very wide layout though. So it was a complete gut, full rental, brand new house now, 2.5 bath, and sleeps, I think it's 13 people on Airbnb.
Wow. 14. That's a lot of people competing for a bathroom.
Up to, yeah.
Okay. So would you get that on the average group? Would they have 14 people or
No,
like
I think
10?
the average group would be 8 to 10.
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yeah. You get a
Okay.
few that were like 13, 12 to 13,
But it is tight. You're
Yeah.
right at that point.
Do you try and aim to have stuff that can accommodate 10 plus? Like what's
Yeah.
what's the sweet spot?
that's the sweet spot. Anywhere from like 10 to 14 is the sweet
10 to
spot. That's when
14.
you're profit
Okay.
maximizing for sure.
Okay. And I can't help myself but ask you what you paid for it. So what'd you buy it for?
Yeah.
So yeah, we bought it for 343,000 a year and a half ago.
Okay.
But
And
this
then how
was like condemned. So we had very cheap labor. We partnered up with people that were very handy.
Okay.
So we ended up doing the full renovation for like 69,000. I think it was our total, was like 68 point something.
Mm-hmm.
including carrying costs, or what would it be including carrying costs if you had to estimate?
Including carrying costs, probably add another 15 onto that. So I'd say, you'd be around like 80 to 83.
Okay. So we'll call it 83,000. So purchase and improvement on that one, you're around 426,000. Did you refinance it?
We did. Yeah. So we got it refinanced. I actually came in really low, but still good enough. 501.
What was the value on it? Was that the value they gave? 501?
Yeah.
Yes.
501,000 is what the
right.
refi came in at.
Okay. So your new mortgage would have been 80% of that?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. So that's about 400,000. So your net investment here, so 400,800 on a 426, less the 426 that you've invested. So that leaves 25,200 in the deal approximately. I know we're ballparking these numbers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
So now let's work through your expenses. So what are your taxes on that property?
So I mean, our mortgage with taxes 1943, but I think the taxes is 2,800.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do 2,800. Insurance on that, like you must have to get a special insurance for
We do.
We do.
So yeah, that's $316 a month, but it's a commercial grade insurance.
16 times
Which we
12.
recommend.
Yeah, which we have.
Yeah, don't mess around with that. Like I know some
Don't.
people don't tell their insurance broker stuff. Like that doesn't help you. That hurts you because if
No.
something ever happens, you're just not insured. So
And
yeah,
something
don't ever
has
do that.
happened in
Yeah.
one of our properties, and we were lucky to have it. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Worth
Okay.
every penny.
What do you guys budget for maintenance? And I'm not talking about toiletries, like just, paint touch-ups, miscellaneous fixes in the house. Like what's your typical budget for that? Like 5%?
Yeah, we usually do 5%.
Okay.
Especially because this is a brand new house now. Like,
yeah,
that's
brand new.
Yeah.
Okay. So now for maintenance, we just did that. Utilities, what are you typically paying on that house?
So like water is usually 110, power is around 85, gas is 60 to 70.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, call it 250,000 or to $250, $260 a month.
Okay. So
then are we talking just straight like house numbers? Because a few other expenses now with Airbnb.
no, we're going to go into the other numbers too.
Okay.
So so you're not paying management, right?
No.
No, okay, but let's get into the expenses. Operational expenses for Airbnb.
So you have your internet and cable because Wi-Fi is important, especially nowadays. So we pay $110 a month for that.
So we'll just so 110 for internet and cable, plus you're gonna have toiletries that you're constantly restocking. Like what do you
supplies and then cleaning?
Yeah, so our cleaning's actually quite expensive. We're around $1,000 a month.
Okay,
Yeah.
so $1,000 a month on cleaning, and then supplies, is that included in the 1,000?
No, it's about 50 to 60 if you're including like all toiletries, shampoos, things like that.
And condiments and all that stuff. Like that stuff gets used up, you replace it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so on a monthly, 110 plus 1,000 plus 60. So if we want to get that into an annual, that's about $14,000 a year that you're putting towards that. Lawn cutting, I'm guessing you pay somebody to do that.
We do.
Yeah, I actually that was kind of included in our maintenance number. I'd say that I'm just about lawn cutting and snow removal. We have it's $45 a month what it averages out for the year.
Oh, okay. That's great deal, man. Someone get great deals on that stuff.
Someone who kind of does it on the side. So
yeah,
it
it's a friend of ours. He does it for pretty much cash. It works out great.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great. Yeah.
He also does our garbage removal, which a lot of people don't factor in.
Yeah.
That you need to take the garbage off site, and just doing it on the curb every Tuesday or Wednesday isn't going to work.
Well, yeah, because somebody's gonna have to go there. But I mean, the cleaning person could hypothetically throw it onto the curb if you got a good system for that. But
they're not always there on those days, though.
Yeah.
My take is that Airbnb uses a lot more or creates a lot more garbage than the average homeowner and their weekly basis.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Okay, so let's work into these numbers now. So as far as mortgage goes, we said 80%. Did you get a 30-year amortization?
Yes.
Okay, and your interest rate?
2.85, I think. Let me check.
All right. Does the bank know it's an Airbnb? I'm guessing the answer is no.
No.
No, they can't know, right? So how do you get around that? Like, is this a JV? Does somebody else has the mortgage on this?
Yeah, it was 2.85. I nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, this is again. So we bought this originally as like an investment property. We do have a lease on these properties.
Okay. So you have a lease, and then is it a company leasing it, or is it a person's name? And then you just
it's someone we know. Yeah. That rents it.
So you got a nice little backdoor solution to make sure it works. Hey, you got to have your angle here because the banks don't like it. But same thing with the student rentals for me. Like, there's a way I can position them that it's okay. They actually are okay that I put 5 names on a lease. That's fine as long as I don't have separate leases for each one. I seem to get away with it.
Fair.
And then, depending on the bank, they don't like it. No, some won't like it anyway, but depending on the bank, they won't like locks on the doors. Like if an appraiser says, oh, there's keyed locks on the doors, they'll say, okay, no, we're not doing that. It looks like a rooming house. So just you always got to know the product you're working with, and then you got to work with somebody who knows how to get that financed. So I'm assuming you guys hit your head on the wall a couple of times with that before figuring it out.
A few times,
All the time.
Can you tell? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Everyone makes it look easy. See, you got it figured out. No, you had to stumble, fall, pick yourself up, figure it out.
That's it. You learn as you go. You find the right team that can make things work, and that's it, right?
Yeah. These numbers are insane.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go through some of the basics here. Obviously, your work is in here. Like, how much? Before I tell the cash flow, how many hours are you guys spending on a month on one property?
On one property. Oh, that is so hard to actually like factor, because the summer it can be crazy. And then there's times where we built up like a team where it's not so bad, but per property, like maybe a couple hours, like 2.
I'd say in high season, it's higher. It's probably more like 8 hours a month on one property. Low season, like right now, because we don't have as many check-in, check-outs, or we have people staying there for long term. Yeah, it goes down to like 2.
So your systems have allowed you, and the help that you've hired have allowed you to have a life still, even though you have all this
we're not
space.
cleaning the properties. We're not even really doing maintenance unless it's something really small. We have enough contractors and people in place that we can get things done just from a phone call or a text. That's really the grunt of the time, right?
And the cleaners sync into our calendar. We make them co-hosts on our account, so I don't have to tell them every time we have a a booking. They see it.
They see it, they do it. I was going to ask, like, who has access to your account? How are they able to, like, are you guys handling the booking requests yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we split it out. Since there is 2 of us, we do split it out. So typically I handle like the guest relations. So I handle the booking requests or the questions that comes in, and Spencer usually handles a lot of the analytics in the background, the optimization and stuff of Airbnb.
Okay.
And then the other person on the account would be our cleaners, and they have limited access, so they can only see our calendar. So basically we only tell them about last minute bookings just to make sure that everything's ready, but otherwise they see it.
Okay. So now before I get distracted here, let's go through your numbers. So 30-year AM, 2.85, your monthly payment is $1,653.95 a month based on my calc. It might be a bit different, but that you'll be very close to that. So your monthly cash flow based on these numbers on that building. So once it normalizes and you have full years, assuming we, can have Americans come across the border again, you're looking at like $4,400 a month net cash flow on one property.
Yeah. It won't be far off that. Like I said, in a good year, it'll be very close.
That's wild. Now, what about HST here? So how do you handle that? Is that in that 105? Are you collecting HST? Do we need to net this off?
We're not adding it as a fee, but we do have to net this off. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So out of that 105, you don't get to keep all of it. We have to reduce that by 13% basically.
Yes.
Correct.
So we can just do a quick little divide by 1.13, and that drops it down to 92. It's still really good.
Yeah.
It just ends up being a touch lower. So here, let's see here. Yeah, you're still $3,400 a month in cash flow, even remitting the HST to the government. Now, I always ask when we get into the HST discussion here, have you spoken with an accountant about the implications about the property, and if that property would be considered commercial use, and then if one day you wanted to sell it, you'd have to charge HST to sell the property? Have you ever gone down that road, or are you worried about that?
So we do have a very good accountant. He hasn't mentioned anything in regards to like it being a commercial property yet, because right now it's technically just seen as a rental. We're collecting rental income, and we do pay taxes on the income that we do collect. So I don't think that really would be an issue down the road if we were to go to sell.
Yeah.
Do you have a company that you run your Airbnb out of?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that company is leasing it from your friend that's leasing it from you.
Yeah.
That's actually probably your saving grace. I mean, I'm no tax expert with that. But I've heard that there does need to be somebody in there to kind of totally eliminate the risk there. So it sounds like that's probably going to help you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you guys have got yourself covered a couple of ways there. That's pretty life changing though. That kind of cash flow to someone, if you have 3 of those, you're at like $10,000 a month in cash flow, getting to a point where I'm sure that's, probably not replacing your income completely, but that's going to be meaningful, especially where you guys live. That can be quite a nice living in that area. Still,
yeah. I mean, it's very beneficial. It's definitely as we buy more properties, it's been paying for pretty much all of our renovations, and we just keep rolling it back into our growth, right?
Okay, so you're managing the renos yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got a team. What would say someone like myself, because you really aren't that far from me, and I love the Airbnb angle. I especially like it on lockdown scenario where people aren't traveling, they're wanting to go within the country more. They're wanting to if they're working from home, why not work from a cottage or a getaway spot? The partners that you bring in on these type of deals, what's your arrangement with them? so this one specifically, you mentioned there's a partner. What's your arrangement with them?
So they handled all of the renovations. So we just basically called them head of construction.
Mm-hmm.
And then we handle all of the, like the decorating and all of that. And then we bring in our cleaning team and then we run it. So after the renovations are all done, they're basically hands off now.
Okay. And did they fund the down payment?
Half. Yeah,
They did half.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just a strategic partnership. You're both sort of working partners. They worked up front. You're working now.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they definitely did a lot more in the beginning. We were still there, obviously, like giving them our expertise and what we should be doing and how it should be laid out for Airbnb specifics. But yeah, they did a lot of the work up front. And now it's our turn.
Okay. So if someone wanted to like come into like the St. Catharines area, like I love Niagara on the Lake. That's where my wife and I got married. Like that's like, we really, really like the area. If I wanted to get into something like that, what kind of properties do I need to look for? And, do you still see opportunities coming? Are you guys still looking? So we'll start with the first question there.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a ton of opportunities. I guess to answer your first question, what type of property, I'd be looking something like if you're looking in St. Catharines specifically, I would suggest North End. As close to the water is always great, and anywhere near Niagara on the Lake is awesome because you're getting a St. Catharines price, but Niagara on the Lake benefits. But yeah, 3 to 5 bedrooms. Again, try to fit in comfortably that 10 to 14 people range. Like obviously if you can have 2.5 baths or even 3 full baths, that's ideal. That'd be the optimal setup. And especially now with quarantine and everything, a nice backyard, you need a nice patio set. I'm telling you right now, spend $2,000 on $2 or $3,000 on a nice outdoor set, you'll make an extra 10 to 15 just by having that. We saw that correlation last year. Actually, it was pretty obvious between the properties that didn't have it versus the ones that did.
So make a backyard oasis.
Basically,
you got it. Yeah. I mean, would love the pool and the hot tub, but that just creates a whole nother can of worms.
I was going to ask you, that's my next question. Pool, hot tub. What's the verdict on those?
We don't have any.
I
currently.
wouldn't. Yeah.
No, I will say they do bring in.
Yeah.
They will bring in probably about 10 to 15,000 more on those specific properties, just because I do have friends in this area that have a few with hot tubs and pools. But the amount of headaches and maintenance it creates, you can add a lot more hours and headaches onto that weekly total per property. So the cash on cash was good enough for us on the ones that we have now. We've thought about a hot tub for like slow season, but again, we haven't found anyone yet that would be willing to go over there at the same time with the cleaners to service it and deal with it.
Well, hot tubs are pretty easy, but pools are a pain in the butt. Like you'd have to hire like a pool cleaning service. So you're going to get 15,000 more, but you're going to have them in at least weekly to do like
and with this year too. Yeah. With this year too, with the sanitization, it's just wasn't something we wanted to deal with.
It's a good point. Yeah. I know there's headaches. I just like, sometimes I look at things like that and when I hear people say, "Oh, I don't want to deal with that," I'm like, that sounds like an opportunity. When people say things like that, I don't want to deal with that. I'm like, okay, opportunity. Yeah. Because if you feel that way, I'm sure a lot of other people do too.
Well, anyone listening that does those kind of things, please give us a call because we will put one in immediately.
Yeah. I was thinking about I was looking at a project, not in your area, but to do Airbnb. And I was thinking, what can I do to make it a destination? Like what would I need to do? And it would be a little bit more up north, cottage country. Yeah. Do I put hot tub in? I think, it would be on the lake so they could swim in the lake if they wanted to.
Right.
What's my highest and best use when it comes to Airbnb or, cottage rental? So those are some of the things occurring to me. And I'm like, well, maybe I even take it further, have a snowmobile on site for winter use, if I want to get people up there in the winter. Everything's got a return. I guess the challenge I have, and I'm sure you would probably feel the same, is what kind of liability am I taking on if I'm doing something like that too?
Yep.
Yeah. Not really my area of expertise, but I mean, again, that's also that seems to me to be an opportunity as well. Just even go into those areas and offer it to other Airbnb or, Airbnbers and rent it out. I'm thinking out loud right now, but
we also like to do a theme for our homes too. So the ones by the beach, we have a beach theme. It's decorated like that. People like themed things where they can go in and feel say a cottage. So it'd be more cottage themed, all of that stuff. They love those.
Yeah. What type of stuff are you including? Obviously you've got your basics in the kitchen and stuff. Are you all stainless steel quartz counters, like really nice, or doesn't have to be?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Actually, we renovate them more high end. So we put in the granite countertops. We chose granite because quartz you can like burn, and with Airbnbs, we just want them like as durable as possible. Stainless steel appliances throughout always, and the bathrooms we usually have one that's like a showcase bathroom, custom glass shower, waterfall, rain head, big open space, and nice luxury tile on the bottom as well.
So stuff that's going to show really well on photos, basically.
You have less than 2 seconds to grab someone's attention on Airbnb. Yeah. You need to have something that separates you from everyone else.
All right. And so you do the really nice shower. You obviously must have a very good photographer that comes and does photos for you.
Very
professional. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
a game changer.
An obvious one, but I'm sure some people would make that mistake. Definitely pay for the photos.
You'd be surprised how many people do. If you take a look around in a lot of areas, I would say probably more than 50% are iPhone photos.
Yeah, that's like the pain of my student rentals. Like when I didn't take good photos when they were vacant, I just like hate myself for it. If I had just taken good photos back before there were people in here. You learn from those mistakes. Okay, so in terms of like, are you doing board games? What all are you including to just make it an experience? And how do you sell people on it in your description to make it an experience?
Yeah, so we have board games. Sometimes we'll leave books. We have we always get smart TV so people can connect to the Netflix and stuff. So if kids want to watch TV or movies, in our beach homes we have beach chairs that they can bring out to the beach. We have beach towels, all of that stuff. There's a theme, so all the colors are either blue or gray or white. The linens are all the same, and we advertise that in our listing. Come to our beach house. Yeah.
Do you give them names?
No,
we don't. I've seen that. It's very popular. Like we try to do more like keyword stuff. I guess that's gonna grab people's attention. Like we always want to have like Niagara on the lake in the title, because I find that definitely helps with search rankings. Yep. But the one we have is on a beach called Sunset Beach, so we made sure the one had sunset in it. Right. It just wanted to grab people's attention, and the picture, I guess the title photo does that with the name. So we just try to make it catchy for sure.
I'd be really curious to see some photos. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe you could share some of your listings.
We can send you a link that has all of them.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, I'd love to see what you guys are doing and kind of how you're positioning it. Okay, any other things you would share, kind of tricks of the trade for people who are new to Airbnb? Like I'm completely new to it. I've never done it. I have definitely been considering it, and I just figured, hey, I'll, be baptism by fire when I actually do it. But, what are some things that are kind of tricks of the trade that people wouldn't know necessarily, or just, really good, kind of secrets that you guys have kind of picked up along the way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we'll start with the most simple one. It's not really like a secret, but finding a very reliable cleaning team is the most important thing. And it is the hardest thing to find, to be honest. It's your biggest red tape. We've tried a bunch of different ones. We now have like a very good team in place that is still expanding with us. So again, that's number one. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with the algorithm to help your listing stand out. Like the first thing I would tell people in the Niagara region is professional photos, because 65% of the listings here do not have professional photos. So Airbnb actually recognizes that and will put you in a different category. And starting out is actually the most important thing, because Airbnb will actually test you your first 2 weeks. They typically try to tell you, hey, your first 4 or 5 guests will get a 20% discount. What they're actually going to do is give you an SEO boost. So they're going to put you way higher than what your listing should rank. And you need to make sure that you crush it in those 4 or 5 stays, because they're going to test you out and see, hey, how is Spencer and Ashley's place doing? Are they getting good reviews? Are they getting good money? Because at the end of the day, Airbnb is going to promote good reviews and good income, right? Because the higher income that you can make off of your property, the more Airbnb can charge in fees, and the better experience you're providing, they're just going to keep bumping you up and up and up. So having that first impression go well off of the gates with Airbnb is a huge factor to kickstart your business. Then a lot of people don't really understand and they take it for granted, right? they kind of get lazy after the third or fourth one. They let a thing slip. They're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're not getting 4 or 5 5-star reviews off the hop, they actually will put you down quite low.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also have a tip of you can create check-in, check-out messages that you just have to go in and click, and they're all there, so you're not constantly typing them out. We always look at the calendar every single day to make sure nothing's missed. And obviously, guest response time is massive. Like if people are messaging you, we are stopping everything to message them back always.
Yeah. And sorry.
Does that have an effect on your life and enjoyment though, if you're constantly having to do that kind of thing?
I want to say yes and no. Like yes, you have to stop what you're doing and text them back. However, no, because we took a phone call and did just rectified an issue on the top of Whistler Mountain last week. Yeah,
you were out in Whistler. I saw that you were traveling. That looks fun. Okay, so you are able to travel. I think that's a big part of your strategy. You guys want to have that freedom in your life. Yeah. Normal circumstances, you guys are traveling a few times a year?
Internationally, yes.
Yeah. Just not this year.
A lot more.
We did get a big trip in earlier in the year. We were very lucky, but otherwise, no.
What's the goal here? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Time and money freedom.
Yeah, just time freedom is the biggest thing. Like, we love to travel. If any of you follow us, like I know you follow us on Instagram, you'll see that that's our biggest passion. And we're kind of limited with vacation time right now. So having the ability to kind of go where we want, when we want is really the main goal. We obviously have a plan in place and what we need to do to get there. We are extremely close, but that is at the end of the day, like is the main goal. We're going to keep growing our business because we're both competitive. That's never going to stop, but having the ability to, book a one-way flight and kind of come home when we want to is also a big goal of ours.
But you already have that kind of set up now where you guys could be away for an extended time and the operations will continue?
Yes, to a point. However, if we're like in a really big time zone away, then we hire out basically our portion and have someone else run it for us.
Yeah, like we have people in place for messaging and stuff. Everything's automated. So
all of our check-in. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, why do it all yourself? Like, why not have, like, I know it's, for me, I'd have trouble letting go of something like that because I'm like, well, this is my moneymaker. Like me making sure bookings go smooth.
Yes.
Right.
Why not hire that out? Have you hired it out, tried that and didn't like it, or you are pretty comfortable with that now?
So that's a great question because we've slowly been doing that with us kind of being a little bit more hands-on. And now with the few people that we've had do this, they're very comfortable. Obviously we're getting more and more listings with the management business, but we're pretty confident that if we do decide to completely outsource that it can be done. So,
and you're not getting too many messages, right? Like anything, if we're getting the same question over and over, how do you work the TV? We just put that right into the profile so that when they book, they see how to work the TV. So we stop getting those little questions. And then it's really just check in, check out messages.
Yeah. A lot of times,
that's easy.
You send the check-in message a day or two before and you don't hear from them. They could be there for 3 or 4 days. You don't hear from them. You send your checkout message. They say everything was amazing. Thank you so much. And like, that's it.
That's awesome.
A minute. Yeah.
They check in with like a keypad or you give them a key code.
Yeah. We suggest keypads all the time. Always have a backup lockbox because those things do die. The batteries do go on them.
Yep.
But yeah, again, it just makes it super easy. We don't have to be at the property. It's completely hands off.
Are they Wi-Fi connected? The keypads you use?
No.
We didn't do the smart ones. We wanted to do battery, but like I said, we always have the lockbox. That's the key option beside, just because that some people don't know how to use the smart locks yet.
Yeah, I know they're always finicky too. I don't know, like this is just like a geek out thing. Which ones do you use? Like which ones are the best? Because I have keypad locks too, and pros and cons to the ones I use.
Yeah, we use I can't pronounce the
Schlog.
Yeah, I always screw up the pronoun.
Is that the one do you do the manual turn one or is it a motorized turn?
It's a motorized turn. So you just type it in and it unlocks, but there is a key option below. So it gives you the option if it does that, because we've had that happen.
Yeah. I hate the batteries dying on them. So I use them for my student rentals. I don't like giving out keys, and I use the manual turn one, but sometimes it slips in the winter. Like when the weather's cold, it'll slip and it won't turn right. So it's a little bit of a gamble whether you're going to be able to get into your house, but so far so good. I use it at home here too, actually.
We use the same one.
Okay. So How do you price? That is one of the specifics I wanted to ask you, because if you go with Airbnb's suggestion, they just want to get you fully booked up because it's more fees for them. How do you price to make sure that you're optimizing what you're getting?
Yeah, so we use a program called AirDNA.
Okay.
You can essentially buy a subscription for any region that has a decent amount of Airbnbs, and it will basically show you every single listing. It gives you all the data that you need. So how much it made, what the average price is, the top 10 properties in a specific category. So if you want to know what the top 10 properties on 5 bedrooms, 2 baths is, it will slice it down to that exact figure. And then we basically price it out per calendar there. Like summer, we obviously set extremely high because in the summer season, that's your high season. You can be the last to book there. You know that on a Wednesday night, if your weekend's still free, people are probably booking on Thursday and Friday and willing to pay more to do that. So we'll set prices really high. And if people want to book that in advance, they're paying a high amount for it. And then we slowly will discount it if it gets closer, but not too much. Mm-hmm. The winter time.
You're pretty active in there then.
We are very active.
There are programs that do it for you too.
Yeah. So again, to the automation perspective, we can set like a range of what we want to do and it will automatically go in and update it.
How far out can people book with you? Like what's the furthest out they can book?
9 months is our longest one.
Okay. And anything after 9 months, they just flat out can't even search it?
Correct.
Okay. So up to 9 months, you've already pre-prepared all of that as of now? Or is there a default price that's really high
Well, there is a default price that's always really high, but as it opens up, we can manually go in and change it. Or there are programs, again, we're working with a few different ones. We're not huge fans of them though, because they're a bit finicky. But
and this is probably very valuable for you to do, like to get to optimize.
Yeah.
Because so give me an example what you can charge per night in the summer.
So like weekends, you can definitely get like at the places near the beach, like anywhere from $950 to $1,300 a night on the weekends, and on the weekdays, $599 to $600 or $799. Mm-hmm. And then that's the base price. That's essentially if there's a 5-bedroom, that'll be for 5 people, and then every additional guest will be $25 per person per night to offset some more utility.
Oh, so you do that. So they have to tell you how many people, and you price adjust it automatically for them.
Yeah, it's automatic.
Yeah, it's a setting you can do on Airbnb. So if there's 8 people, then you're getting an extra $75 per night, for example.
Okay, so going forward, are you guys going to be more on building the business to manage for others, or more on buy for you, or just a mix of both? Keep growing them both.
I would say a mix of both for sure. Like if there's a good deal that comes up, we'll buy it.
We're more so right now focusing on the management business and growing our portfolio there. We have turned our attention a little more into the long-term buildings, which is kind of where most of our attention is. However, anytime a listing comes up that we're interested in, we're always going out and looking.
Okay, so you're actively looking right now. And would you be bringing on a joint venture partner for your next buy, or would you guys just try and fund it yourself?
Yeah, joint venture. We actually have people that are really interested. A lot of people that want to get in on their first deal. So we're looking for them right now, and we're going to be partnering with them. So that's something that we've been doing.
And the next deal, would that be like the investor puts in all the money and you guys manage? Is that kind of the way that would work? And they go on the mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Now, I would think you would want to do at least like 1 or 2 on your own before you quit your jobs, and while you can still get mortgages. Is that kind of a thought process you're having, or no?
Yes and no. Like obviously, if a really good one comes up, we're not going to hesitate. But as Ashley mentioned, we're moving towards more like the bigger commercial size deals. Like our next one's going to be 15, 20 plus. Like we have the capital right now on our own.
Okay. So you don't want to acquire the small ones. You want to go buy apartment buildings.
Because we want to scale up. We're ready to take the next jump. We have friends that have done it, and it's just exponential growth there. So.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be Airbnb though. Those would just be regular rentals.
No, that's just,
Okay, nice. So you're just going to use the short-term stuff to feed the longer-term play. And you do see yourself quitting this year. You see the numbers working out well enough for that you guys don't need to keep working.
We're hoping. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not at the same time. We've discussed quitting at different times, but at least one of us this year.
Yeah, don't tell my boss though.
I was just gonna say, hopefully your boss isn't watching. I'm sure they're not.
Don't don't plug the company in there. Make sure you bleep that part out.
Okay, I'll do that. Your cue here will remind me to go back and do that. Okay. Yeah, it's been really nice talking to you guys. Where should we send people if they'd like to know more about you?
So our Instagram is Spencer and Ashley.
Spencer and Ashley. That's actually super easy.
Our property management company is Travelux Property Management.
Travelux
All on
Properties.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, if you could, shoot me those links. I'll put them in the show notes. Any words of wisdom before I let you go here?
I don't know. What do you have words for wisdom?
New investors wanting to grow.
Honestly, just go for it.
Get started. Yeah,
just do it.
When I first started, I read every single book under the sun. And at the point, it just became so repetitive that until I started actually going out and taking action, I wasn't learning anymore. So just, if you're thinking about doing it, just jump in, do it. Obviously, do your research. Don't just jump in without doing your due diligence, but just take that leap, right? That's the biggest advice I would give.
And have a backup plan. Even if you want to do Airbnb, make sure that you know that if that fails, you can still rent it in cash flow.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So your properties, would they all pretty much work even with a monthly rental? They would still cash flow?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Because we've obviously looked at waterfront properties that bring in more income, but then that kind of messes with your contingency plans. You're just basically at the mercy of the market at that point, hoping that you can get what you paid for it or more if you had to sell or stop Airbnb-ing it.
Fantastic lesson to wrap this up. Yeah, with Airbnb, you never know what regulation might come in. We don't know what our government might do, lock things down again. So just having that ability to pivot to long-term rentals, I think is such a critical thing. And plus, you guys already have other rentals that are long-term, so you're already hedged against that in your portfolio. So that's a nice setup. I think early on when people get started, they might be all Airbnb, which they're taking a bit more of a risk. But if you can kind of diversify it a bit, that's something I would be more comfortable with. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. We definitely are.
Awesome. Well, it's really, really nice meeting you guys. I really appreciate you sharing all this. And I'll certainly look forward to watching your progress and kind of hearing more as you have more successes.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Andrew. Appreciate you having us on.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Please make sure to share this episode far and wide. Help it help more people. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks. I'll see you on the next one.